Yes, Army. 209 Stockton Slap. This is my second vlog in a row with a fight title reference. I'm just gonna go with it. I've been watching the UFC consistently, but in different ways. Last week I mentioned that I've only ever purchased the one card, Shane Carwin the Engineer versus Brock Lesnar. That's true, but you can watch fights legally in many ways. One such way is when casinos were still opened. They used to buy and fight. They used to buy the fight cards and air them in free open areas. So you could, in theory, meander into a casino and watch a fight for free without paying for anything. That's if you have self-control. Obviously, the casino offers these free things to people in hopes that the weaker-willed will come in, watch a fight, maybe sit down and gamble a little. I've always been less of a gambler and more of a fight watcher. Every so often I've played some slots. Every so often I've ringed around the roulette, but I often set a very low limit for myself, and later on I even eliminated my betting completely. So earlier on I might set myself a $5 slot limit and let it be a day. Later on I just set my limit at 0. But for some reason our local casino often offers $5 free play. That's the same gimmick. They're thinking if they offer you something for free, that you'll be inclined to play more and bet more, because obviously some people are actually addicted. I know some of those people. I myself usually just take their free offers at face value. For example, if they offer me $5 free slot play, I would play that $5 and then I would cash out at the end. Sometimes if I won in that $5, I'd cash out immediately, but I'd never be in a negative position or out more than pocket change in the early days or house money in the later days. From my free fight card days, I've been a Diaz fan since the beginning, really. I think the difficulty with the Diaz brothers is that they have a combination of social anxiety and a mumbly nature when talking. So that means oftentimes you actually have to invest time to decode what they're saying, similar to if they were speaking with an accent. As an adventure traveler to 101 UN countries, I have that unique patience to listen to people and take time to decode what they're saying. I'll be real with you, I'm actually surprised that people often honor Connor's comedic sensibilities, because I think the Diaz brothers have been doing that since the beginning. And they've had some zingers, selling them wolf tickets, playing touch butt in the park with that dork, and my personal favorite, don't be scared homie. In fact, because people out there in general are so dry, I bet the Diazes actually have more comedy and charisma than anyone you've ever met. I know that's true for me, if you exclude me from the picture. Now, obviously, I'm much more comedic and charismatic than the Diaz brothers, but I can recognize similar personality traits in them. So, aside from free live fights, you can also catch fights in rewind on the UFC's own official channel. They'll probably release McGregor Poirier 2 for free to promote McGregor Poirier 3, which is coming up shortly. That's their typical situation. So for me, now, in the new world where casinos have been closed for a while, I just accumulate fights and then watch them when they're free. Sometimes if I'm really keen or interested, I'll listen to live audio of people doing play-by-play. I've done that for the last 2 fights of the last 2 weekends, being Mayweather versus Paul, Logan Paul, and Diaz versus Edwards. I even watched through to the end of this last weekend's card, which featured 2 title fights. Adesanya versus Vettori. Yes. Despite the fact that 2 title fights were ahead of Nate Diaz versus Leon Edwards, something about that Diaz gas tank is compelling. Something about the way he handles a fight, even if he's losing 24 minutes of the 25, makes Nate Diaz a star. I mean, obviously, aside from fight sensibilities, he's actually a really authentic person, along with his brother Nick, and I think that's really hard to come by. Conor probably has that too, and your natural authenticity, though, has to have elements of entertainment. Otherwise, you could have people being their authentic selves, but if their boring ass shit is boring, then that's it. There's nothing to really be attracted to, be entertained by. But the Diazes are authentic in a way that's entertaining, because they've gone on some wild rides over the years. Well, what do we learn from this? Well, I think even if you're a boring ass authentic person, given the options, that's better than being a boring ass closed off person. But I think being authentic to yourself is always worth its weight in gold in all situations. This is coming from a person who's actually tried the different methods. And to be fair to me, when I was working those corporates, I probably played by the structural, functional rules more than I do now, much more than I do now, but I still found my ways to be authentic, even in those circumstances where people have to play a role in order to survive. That makes me sad, though, because I think one reason, one purpose that you can find in your life is to actually find out who you are without all that. That's a very hard journey to undertake, I agree. But I think that's what a lot of people are missing, even when we've had all the time in the world for people to figure things out. We've had what would be called one mass disability leave across the world, or at least the Western world. I've had that disability leave for a debilitating back injury more than a decade ago, but I leveraged that time to completely transform my life. Everything I am now, everything that I represent is because I burnt down that old me to a fiery crisp, let the embers dissolve into the air, and then I planted some new trees. But that whole process was a difficult process, and I think it's a process that you probably have to go through regularly. So the pandemic came, forced its way into our lives, but I think many people have found ways to learn and grow. I'm one of them. I'll talk a little more about what I've learned. Throw down some dance moves. Do I want to, though? I'll throw down some dance moves, but I'm going to throw down moves that are different than what I was originally thinking. Yes. It's an example of just some freestyle tutting and other moves. A lot of dance is just freeing yourself and more so freeing your body to do whatever it wants. Sometimes I have the engineer side of me warring with that freestyle side. The engineer's side has helped guide me on a dance progression during the pandemic that has helped me achieve what I consider remarkable results. Okay. I know that I have natural dance flow. I've always been the first on the dance floor and last to leave wherever I've been. People have complimented me on my supposed dance skills, but that was always something I did freestyle. I'd taken some dance classes over my lifetime, ranging all the way from ballroom to hip-hop, but I'd only ever done introductory classes in school and in formal dance academies. This year's the first year that I had a concerted effort and a mindset for growth towards dance. In fact, the first thing I did is choreograph dances while also learning to dance. This has been something new and wondrous to me. I've never actually done it before, but I'm really happy with the results of the choreography. Being that I'm actually an amateur, learning to dance at the same time as choreographing, I think with more practice under my belt, I could pass for a choreographer to a layperson. Obviously, to professional dancers, they can observe many areas where I can improve, but be fair, you're comparing people who have, in many cases, decades of collective experience and training versus someone with 1 year at most. So I'm happy with what I've achieved in the dance realm, and partly I've been able to achieve it because I don't give a fuck what people think. In the course of starting my social media presence, I realized that there was something about going live that helped me reach my goals. For whatever reason. I've danced before without pressing that red live button. I can still do it, but for some reason, there's something about that red live button that makes my outcome better, at least to me. So, that presents a unique question but opportunity for me. If I think I do some of my best art while going live, should I often go live? The answer is abso-fucking-lutely. Why would I have any other choice? If other people find what the outcome of the live process is useful, entertaining, whatever, have at it. But the more important thing is that it's useful and entertaining to me. That's why I've been able to have the consistency and the discipline. The same goes with the dancing itself. People have asked me during the pandemic, how have you been so disciplined? Well, the important thing is you have to find what you like. The benefit for me is that I have a wide range of interests, but that's also because I was willing to search for those wide range of interests. It's also because I booted out of the narrative, well, the only wide-ranging interest you should have is in fucking and relationships and blah. For me, I'd always watched from afar as other people torched their lives to pieces, always outsourcing their happiness onto a partner, and this and that and the other. I think you can structure friendships so that you obtain all the benefits of a romantic relationship without the risks. So if you structure your friendships properly, I think you can be emotionally fulfilled the same way some people are fulfilled by romantic relationships. This has just been the way I've done it. I mean, to be completely honest, sex ain't shit. That's what I think. I know this is a hard one. I really wish I could have had it, sex that is, in order to just be a good scientist in a way. The thing that people have leveled against me often is that how can I proclaim that everything is better than sex if I've never had it? Here's how I proclaim it. I'm the type of person who follows fun wherever I go. Okay, if I think it's in space, I'll go to space. If I think it's in the Arctic, Antarctic, 7 continents, 101 countries, 5 oceans, I'll do that. And I've done all of that. I've accomplished all of that. So if there's fun to be had in this world, best believe me, I'll find it. I've even had opportunities to have sex, and I just thought it was a huge waste of time. Just never been compelled. So I know that I'm obviously born differently than other people. In some ways you'd call it biologically maladaptive, but to me, I wish I could have some sort of t-shirt. Biologically maladaptive is cool, or is fine. In many ways, that's what forced me to have this curiosity. I never accepted this narrative that that's all life is worth. So I actually had to search for things and search. And in my searches, I've found so many things to be in love with. In love with me, in love with my passions and interests, in love with knowledge, in love with sports, in love with travel, in love with animals, all that stuff. But maybe it was because I was forced to find those things. So the people who relied on just sex or romantic relationships, a lot of them had a lot of attrition during the pandemic. They found that, oh, well, fucking and sucking and touching, great, except when you're seeing the same fucking face for 24/7, months at a time, then people start to question things. People start to question, okay, should I really be outsourcing all my happiness to this other person? And besides, where did we ever get the idea that that's what they were supposed to do? I think the biological game is morphed. Obviously, from a biological standpoint, genes are here to use you as a throwaway survival machine so that they can replicate. That's all they're doing, okay? Along the line, maybe culturally we've developed this thing called romantic love to, again, further the species, but as an adaptive strategy, does that mean that it'll make you happy or make you fulfilled? And what if for most people it never would, but they spend all their time chasing that? Then what happens? You're just left at a crossroads. So I'd rather take on the full responsibility of my own happiness and go firmly and passionately in the direction that I know gets me there. And I think I've been as open-minded as I can be to the romantic relationship aspect because so many people do it. Just as a scientist, you're curious. Okay, there's a hypothesis here. let's test it out, at least for yourself, in the real world. I've tested it. I've been as open as I could be to something that I think is silly and foolish, but it's just proven out to be the way it is. It is what it is. Do I throw down some more steps? Okay. I think I'll just continue on. Do I want to maybe throw down some more steps? Maybe. That's something to work on. I'm trying to recreate some sort of Spider-Man looping jump. Where did I get this from? I probably remembered it from a choreography. Someone else's choreography. Is that what I did? Yeah. Okay, so bumping in and out on all these topics I am. This is fun to me. I think that's the number one thing I've done for my creativity and my creative process. This has worked, and it's a lot more like a scratch notepad, but a multi-dimensional scratch notepad. I think I've mentioned before that I found writing by hand takes me a lot longer than spitfiring. It's just an ability I have. Yeah, I know some people think I'm very slow as a speaker, but I'm doing that deliberately. I used to race through things, race through ideas, but I realize now that for my own growth, I'd rather seed things for myself in my vlogs so that I can follow myself, because this vlog has to be at least useful and entertaining to me. If I speak a mile a minute like a clusterfuck, is that helping me? No. So that's why I do what I do. I think it's helpful to me, at least. Okay, what's going on here? The lighting. Wow, this vlog has really flown by quickly. Me throwing down some moves. In any case, I think also, especially with dance, recording yourself, you can watch yourself and improve quicker than without that. I think the active feedback mechanism is important. Andrew Huberman, the neuroscientist, one of my favorite people in the world, probably has many better protocols to learning new skills, so you should check out his podcast. I think I've tried to integrate as much as I can. He just has so much in terms of useful protocols and tools that I've slow rolled them in, and I've found them to be helpful, actually on orders of magnitude, because he's using scientific ways to help, and he's a scientist with integrity, so you can trust his methods. At the very least, it's actually very easy. If you think that he's a quack, you just stop, right? You just stop. You try it out. You run your own life like a lab, like I've been the whole time, and it works if you have the results you want. Of course, be fair enough to give it a long enough time scale, but after time, you'll know whether it works for you.